Yeah. Basically, what we ultimately decided was the simplest thing for me to do, since Warren was in Austin, Texas, along with the whole game, and I was in New York, was that basically I went out to Austin, Texas, and they put me in an office and surrounded me with all the material that I could possibly need in order to tell this story. And Warren and I sat down and worked out the major beats, because it's a 64-page comic and it's many hours of gameplay.
My first playthrough was 26 hours long, okay?
Wow.
26 hours.
64 pages. So, yeah, there's only so much you can fit into the graphic novel. So we went through and we said, and what we boiled it down to was Warren said, okay, this sequence has to be here. This sequence has to be here. We figured out what were the main beats that were absolutely necessary to tell the story. That was the plot point of view. The other aspect was to really get into the heads of the characters and really highlight, as essentially only a graphic novel can, the character arcs that both Mickey and Oswald go through in the course of the story, so that the real heart of the story could all be right there in the graphic novel. If you read the graphic novel, do you then say, well, that's it, there's no mysteries left in the game? Good Lord, no. Again, 64 pages, a day, and a day's worth of playing. This is enough to give you a hint, a taste, a feel for what the graphic novel, for what the video game is going to be. Can you just read it and not get the video game?
No.
My answer would be, why would you want to? It was also tremendously useful for me to be out there, because if I got to a point in the story where I'm thinking, wait a minute, I need to see what this looks like, I would just be able to walk over to the guys and say, hey, I need to know what happens during this sequence where Mickey is in this particular environment, and they'd show it to me. And I'd go, okay, got it, and I'd go back and write that sequence. It was done in conjunction with some of the cinematics, where the dialogue was, all that kind of thing, translated into graphic novel form, and it's all very coherent, and it all I think hangs together beautifully, and the artwork that these guys have been presenting has just been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's not exactly the video game, but it's its own thing. I mean, it has to be. You don't just need an exact recreation of the video game. We have the video game. It's another way of conveying the story, and I'm kind of biased, but I think it works wonderfully.
Yeah, I got to say, it does work wonderfully. In fact, when you're talking to executives or people who are interested in what is this game all about, trying to sum up 25 hours of play. I mean, even a really good player is going to take 15 hours, and having Peter's script really has helped a lot. I've been circulating pretty widely within Disney for people who don't have the time to play 26 hours of game. It's a great summary.
Sorry, Warren, but speaking of 15 hours, we only have so long for this panel here, and there is supposed to be a Q&A session as well. And I was going to start it off with one of my own questions, but we don't have that much time. So if anyone would like to ask anyone on the panel any question about Disney Epic Mickey, I'll be happy to.
Maybe we want to bring the lights up a touch?
Yes.
Yeah, just start line up right by me. I'm going to take a mic. And right over here. Just start line up right here.
All right. We're doing a lineup thing. Let's do it.
Given the way the PS3 and the 360 are also getting motion controls, can you discuss the decision to put on only on the Wii? And are you planning on moving it to the other systems as well at any time?
Yes, that's me.
I think we're all going to be free.
We'll find out. Look, the decision to go on the Wii was really pretty straightforward. Part of what I wanted to do was sort of broaden the audience for my kind of gameplay. I mean, that whole choice and consequence. Having Mickey as your hero is huge. I think we can attract a broad audience to the game. You want a broad audience, you go to the Wii. The core game mechanic is drawing and erasing. You solve game problems, and by creating things in the world and removing them. And when we started working on this game, if you wanted gestural control, you wanted to put a brush in Mickey's hands, it was the Wii or nothing. And also, I'm just a really big Nintendo nerd, you know. So, Mr. Miyamoto touched me on the shoulder right here at E3, and I am now a better game designer. Yeah, so it was a really easy decision to do there. It was the right place for me.
And is there any plans with the other motion control to?
You know, there's no technical reason why we couldn't do it at this point. But if anybody at Disney is thinking about that, they haven't talked to me about it, and it's a decision that gets made above my pay grade.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right. The wizard, does he play any other role besides the creator of the world and the narrator? Because he kind of just left the mess there. He could have cleaned it up himself.
Yensid does make another appearance in the game, but I don't want to tell you anything about that.
I noticed that one of the characters he had, at least in the graphic novel, was a gremlin. A lot of people probably are.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So I wanted to know, are you going to include any other characters, like from the Alice comedies or maybe other forgotten Disney projects?
Wow, the Alice comedies. There's an animation historian. You know, I kind of put boundaries on.
Live-action little girl.
Yeah, there was before Oswald. Walt did a series of live-action cartoon, you know, hybrids basically. And they're interesting, and they are certainly largely forgotten, but I kind of decided that I wanted Oswald to be the first inhabitant of Wasteland, and I didn't want to go past like Jungle. That was kind of my cutoff, because, you know, I've actually got to meet some folks at Disney Feature Animation, and I don't want to be the guy who says, wow, that work you did, that really sucked, you know, or, wow, that's completely forgotten that work that you bled for 10 years ago, you know? So I just put a boundary on it of 1928 to 1967.
Cool.
Well, also, that makes sense because Jungle Book was the last feature film that Walt was involved in.
Actually, that's a good point.
Yes,
I learned
My name's Kevin Clark from Don'tUseYourDayJob.com. Can you speak to any like trophies or kind of hidden treasures that will be found in the game?
Oh yeah, they're all over the place. I mean, what would a game set in a world modeled on Disneyland be without, you know, hidden Mickeys, for example? So they're all over the place, and I'm not going to tell you about those either. And there are all sorts of secrets. The reality is how you use paint and thinner, when you choose to erase things. I mean, honestly, if you go around and erase a bunch of stuff, you're going to kind of annoy a lot of the characters in this world, which you may or may not want to do, but you'll also uncover all sorts of hidden places and hidden treasures. That's the choice and consequence, right? If you want to be the guy who discovers all of the secrets, you might have to do some stuff that's going to make you a little uncomfortable, okay? But let me just say one more thing. We have a bunch of collectibles that we've talked about that I am happy to talk about. We have, well, e-tickets, okay? That's our game economy. How many of those can you find? We have film reels that you can collect, and you know, I'm not going to tell you what those do, but you can probably use your imagination. So you have a good idea. We have over 100 pins. I don't want to tell you exactly how many, but there are over 100 collectible pins, because I'm a Disney pin fanatic, right? There you go. And here's the thing, though. You know, the game actually does reward different play styles. Playing the game differently does change the experience, and one measure of that is the fact that you cannot see and do and collect everything in a single playthrough. In fact, it takes 3 playthroughs to get everything in the game. And at the end of each playthrough, we do save your game state, your collectibles, so you can go back, and if you're really a completist, you're going to have to play through it 3 times. Now, the good thing is, your first playthrough might take 26 hours, your second one will take probably 15, and your third might take, 10. So it's not like we're going to make you sit through 75 hours of play unless you really, really want to.